Welcome to Preps Plus Extra. How you doing? I'm Mark Stewart, prep editor of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to you, JR. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Doing very well.
Yeah, well, as we enter 2013, if there was an unofficial start to the basketball season, we know the season started back in November, but things really start heating up at the turn of the new year. You know, that's when all the conferences are playing. So let's start there. As we enter the new year, what's got you excited? What are you interested to see unfold?
Well, I think the big story in boys basketball is watching the Germantown boys basketball program. The defending state champs, they went undefeated last year. You know, it hasn't happened very often in the history of state basketball for a team to go undefeated back-to-back seasons. I think it's only happened twice before, and I don't think since Cassville in the early 90s with that Sam Oakey team. I mean, obviously to go have a perfect record 2 years in a row is a very daunting task when you're talking about 20-some games. But, you know, this team has started out guns a-blazing just like last year, despite graduating some key starters from last year's team. Luke Fisher, the 7-foot center who's headed to Indiana, has been, as advertised, is able to dominate games. And, as you saw with the Wisconsin basketball yearbook shootout, I mean, they played a really good Arrowhead team, which has hung its hat on defense over the past several years, won a state title a couple years ago, and they hung 100 points on them, and crushed them. And that's a performance that really opens your eyes to just how good Germantown can be.
Yeah, that's kind of what struck me so far is that, they're taking it to good teams. I mean, they beat an undefeated East Troy team, which probably isn't as good as Arrowhead, but they beat them by, I don't know, at least 40 points. I can't remember the score exactly. And I guess that's kind of what, impresses me, even though at this stage of the season they have some new pieces that, they're still trying to kind of figure things out from a chemistry standpoint, but from a talent standpoint, the talent is obviously there. So the way they've been playing, they've really made the North Shore race a race for second. With all due respect to Homestead and Whitefish Bay, but that's the way it looks so far. But there are a lot of other good races going on. Yeah. As we enter the new year. Which ones are you going to be most keeping your eye on? Well,
I look at the Greater Metro, both boys and girls teams, Brookfield Central and Sussex Hamilton. They're going to be fighting for first place this week. I mean, we talked with Germantown. It's sometimes a story when a team gets close. And the Brookfield Central boys team, they actually were within a late basket by Germantown, won that game earlier this year. So they're close to that level. And I saw them play earlier this year, and I think they're the best team I've seen. I haven't seen Germantown. They're the best boys team I've seen this year. They're very, very complete. They have Riley LaChance, a junior, who's their leading scorer, Elijah Goodman, a big man who's just piling up rebounding numbers left and right. And that's a team that I think can work very deeply into the tournament. They were scheduled to face Sussex Hamilton boys on Tuesday night in a first place battle. Hamilton came into that one undefeated. Those two teams, I think, are pretty much going to jockey back and forth on the boys' side of the GMC. Now on the girls' side, Central and Hamilton meet Friday, and Hamilton's got a great Division I type player in Mackenzie Latt. They've only got one loss this year to a very good Algoma team up north, so they're a quality program. They've got, just strong depth. I mean, they're a really excellent squad. And they first have to face Brookfield Central, and then the following Friday have to face Divine Savior Holy Angels, which could very well be the best team in the area, bar none. So those three schools competing for that GMC title will be very interesting.
Yeah, the GMC that's one of those races that's always tight. As you were talking about Brookfield Central, it kind of, it popped in my head that, they also played Arrowhead, and it's kind of funny how basketball works. And that was a relatively, close game.
That was a 4-point game. But then again, Arrowhead hit 13 threes in that one, and so Brookfield Central, Arrowhead shot the ball very well. Central was kind of able to frustrate them a little bit.
Right, yeah, but it's just kind of funny how sometimes in basketball you get Brookfield Central, they almost beat Germantown. Germantown has no problem beating Arrowhead, a team that Brookfield Central had.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that was just a tangent there. But in general, personally, I enjoy watching the city race. It looks like it's, a three-team race right now between Vincent, King, Hamilton. I think Hamilton has the advantage of being able to really, I think King and Vincent are their final two games. So they're going to have a whole season to really get better and prepare for those final two contests. The Woodland, as in football, it's probably the most entertaining league. You just never know what's going to happen there. There's a lot of parity there. On the girls' side, South Milwaukee got off to a slow start, but they've kind of slowly worked their way into the back into the Woodland East race, and with all due respect to Woodland and to Whitnell and Shorewood, I kind of look at them as a team that's really, got a chance to kind of, pick up things and maybe win that division.
Shorewood, though, they got a good team this year. They're 9-4, I think, starting the week. They typically are near the bottom of the Woodlands, so they actually play South Milwaukee on Friday in a pretty big game.
Yeah, and they've done a great job with that program, just getting it from a couple years ago. They hadn't won a conference game in a number of years. So, so those are some of the races that intrigue me. Another race that probably doesn't get as much attention, the Wisconsin Little 10. The Slinger boys are off to a great start. They pulled off a last-second victory against Watertown this week. Let's hear what a couple of their players had to say about the win.
Tarek Yagi's a great player. We had to shut him down first. Zwig is also a great player. So we focused a lot on those two guys.
Watertown's always been that team that always makes us a little nervous when we play them, and I think that this game right here was huge, especially because we got 2 more this big week that we have ahead of us. That last call that on the push out here was huge for us because that gave us the ball. They had to go the length of the floor again, and obviously you just got to keep playing, keep your mouth shut.
And that last shot, I think Swig took the last shot for them. What was going through your mind as that ball was sitting on the rim?
Actually, I was underneath the hoop and I was looking straight up at it thinking, if this goes in, I don't know what we're going to do. Obviously, he deserved that shot. He played a great game, and I thought that sometimes the ball just doesn't roll. Well,
the Slinger Owls have another big game this week coming up against Wisconsin Lutheran on Friday. As one of their players noted, they've had they beat Watertown on that last second, or not a last second shot. Watertown missed the last second shot, and it was probably an appropriate ending for the Owls because it seems like they've had a lot of close games this year, and most of the time, according to their coach, they've had to play defense to win the game. So they haven't had that heroic last second shot yet, but they've been getting the job done with defense. But before we get out of here, JR, I want to give you the final word.
One more matchup for first place comes in the Classic 8 on Friday. Mugwanago and Arrowhead, they're both undefeated in conference play, both very good teams, and very good on the football field as well. A lot of their football players who play basketball, a lot of physical kids, especially on the Mugwanago side. Against Arrowhead's depth, it's going to be a heck of a battle.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it next week. That wraps up another edition of Preps Plus Extra. For more Preps Plus action, you can watch me and Lance Allen every Sunday night on today's TMJ4. Take care.